want to look at a decision going into an end game here. Deck that's doing pretty okay. Take a quick look at the kingdom. I mean, this kingdom actually, what it's kind of lacking is a village. You have Draw an Advisor. You have a good payload thing that build up in Infirmary Market Square. You can use Flagship as kind of half a village. It's not actually a village, but if you play one at the end of your turn, you can have multiple actions, and so what this can enable you to do is do some gain and play, where you're going to play advisors to draw up a bunch of market squares in Infirmary. You can Infirmary out a card, discard out a bunch of market squares, and then because you have this extra action from the Flagship at start of turn, hopefully you played an advisor on, you can then continue to draw on and try to draw up the golds that you just gained. And so, despite not having a village, you can still do a lot of this gain and play just because Flagship kind of gives you this, I don't know, we'll call it a duration village, even though it's still not really a village. You have to play a Flagship at the end of your turn, which is action neutral, to sustain it. But in any case, you can do the things you want. I mean, you can see on this turn right here, played Infirmary, trashed a copper, discard some market squares, played a Secret Passage, drew it all up, and we have a pretty good turn going here, and a pretty good deck going. I mean, things are going okay. Opponent things have been not maybe going the best. They've been doing approximately the same thing, except you'll see on their last turn they ended up having to horse a Flagship, and so they're definitely, along with buying the province, entering the end game for them, simply because their deck's not going to be able to do this ramping anymore. So we have to figure out how we're going to respond to this as we try to get into our end game, where probably we're going to have to score some points, and we'd like to, continue our deck to be sustainable. The good news is we have Sinister Plot, and there's Way the Horse. What Way the Horse means is that, especially if we get into this greening, at some point we don't really have to worry about consistency, just because all of these cards can potentially become horses, and we'll have a pretty easy deck draw on the very last turn. However, we're not close to the very last turn, and we have to figure out, are we going to start greening? Or if we're not going to start greening, plausibly we're going to get some draw, and how are we going to try to keep expanding our payload to keep up with the opponent? Opponent, produced 17 last turn, so they're certainly in position where they're going to be able to double province and maybe a little bit more if they would like to. So, at 0 points, we're starting to think okay, so if they double province, next turn they'll be ahead by 3 provinces if we don't do anything. And then what would we like to be able to do? If they can do this consistent double province thing, which possibly they can with Way the Horse, we'll do 2 provinces next turn, potentially 2 provinces the turn after, and so we're going to have to figure out how we're going to be scoring 30 points in the next, 2-ish turns. And so, plausibly there'll be, 3 provinces left, and we're going to have to get a whole mess of duchies with that, but what it really means is that we're going to have to be, hitting up to, above 24. We're going to have to be able to probably take 1 province and say 4 duchies, which is going to mean that we're going to need to be producing about 28 coins over time. Fortunately, we still have 1 copper in deck, so the Infirmary can work with that, and we can keep doing this market square thing. But if we're going to do that, we're going to require a lot more draw. So one of the things we're going to want to do is we're going to want to add some advisors. The other thing to consider is, as we do add more golds potentially, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to be drawing. So gold might not be the best choice of payload options, just because, especially with advisor, which is not the greatest thing if you're not action dense, it could be kind of tough to draw all that gold. And so there actually is another way to expand payload here, which, we talked about Flagship as this duration village, but it can also act as a form of basically a conspirator. It's going to be, this +2 coins. It's going to be action neutral. We can play it middle of the turn, and then keep playing advisors afterwards. And if we do that, we're going to have a lot better time, just because we don't have to be, drawing this. The thing that's giving us coins is going to assist us in drawing. And so, in this case, if we want to be hitting a lot of money going forward, probably we are going to want to add some more advisors, maybe 2 of those, and then 2 flagships will probably be the best move to make it so that we're able to reach this high number that will allow us to beat the 2 provinces next turn, 2 provinces the turn after.